2023. Max Verstappen was the most hated driver in Formula One. Something changed.
Max Verstappen, best racing driver on the grids.
You're actually a good driver. He's the best driver on the grid.
Suddenly, every F1 fan wanted him to win. So how did the sport's most hated champion become a national hero? What sets Max apart from all other drivers is that from day one, all eyes were on him. Why? As you might guess, because he debuted at just 17 years old. This immediately raised concerns in the media. Mika Häkkinen, for example, said, "It's too young because at F1 the risk is high. At F1 you don't go to learn. You have to be ready. F1 doesn't allow you to do too much learning." Even the reigning champion Lewis Hamilton was shocked. "I didn't think that was even allowed." And he was right. Soon after, the FIA changed the rules, ensuring Verstappen would remain the youngest F1 driver in history. But was this fair? Because after the start of the season, Verstappen proved with his results that he was ready for the queen of motorsport.
Kan han klare å komme der? Der kommer Verstappen forbi! Der Verstappen, han lurte Valtteri Bottas!
It wasn't only Red Bull who noticed this. Mercedes did too. Max's contract had a clause stating that if he didn't get a Red Bull seat after 2 seasons with Toro Rosso, he would become a free agent. And this is where everything shifted, because Red Bull fired Daniel Kvyat in the middle of the season and promoted Max. Keep in mind, just a year earlier, Kvyat had beaten Ricciardo in the championship standings, so it wasn't a quiet decision, especially since Daniel had recently scored a podium.
It came like a torpedo.
Well, it's racing.
Yeah, racing, but you know, if I keep going the same line, you'll crash.
Add to that the off-track rumors suggesting that Kvyat's girlfriend might have had some connection to Verstappen, and suddenly, people weren't just questioning the decision. They were furious. For example, Jensen Button tweeted,
"Really? One bad race and Kvyat's dropped. What about the podium in the previous race?"
Even though Verstappen won his very first race with Red Bull,
wins the Spanish Grand Prix and is the youngest driver ever,
he was still met with skepticism in the paddock. Soon after, he became what many called the madman. You could see it in 2017 when Kimi got destroyed.
More about that.
Again.
Verstappen gets 5 seconds added. He hands the place back to Kimi Räikkönen. Räikkönen does finish on the podium.
You could see it in Japan when Vettel. But Max wasn't the only one who was dangerous. While you watch the race, your data is being tracked. That's why today's sponsor is NordVPN. With just one click, you're protected. And for F1 fans, there's something even better. When you travel, F1 TV or Sky often stops working because of regional restrictions. With NordVPN, you can switch your virtual location to the US, and suddenly, F1 broadcasts that are available there work just like you're actually there. Geo-blocking is just one of the use cases. NordVPN can be used for a million things. For example, it has built-in threat protection that not only blocks malicious ads, but also prevents phishing, password stealing, and other online threats. And here's the best part. If you get the 2-year plan, you'll receive a huge discount plus 4 extra months for free. And as always, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Want full access and want to support the channel? Click on the link nordvpn.com/Formula Times and get everything right away. Even in practice sessions, would lose his mind.
As effective as Max wants it.
Oh no,
they're going to crash! And they have!
I didn't see anyone.
But is this guy blind? What the is wrong with him? What a...
It was always bubbling under the surface, and nothing proves that more than what I still think is the real birth of Mad Max. 2018, Brazil, the Esteban Ocon incident. At the time, Red Bull didn't even have the fastest car, but Max, he was on another planet. He passed both Ferraris.
DRS as well, he's going down the inside. It's Max Verstappen almost off the track and manages to squeeze past Sebastian Vettel.
He passed Bottas. He passed Lewis Hamilton. He was absolutely destroying everyone. This was about to be one of the greatest wins of his entire career. And then, boom.
is Max Verstappen, the race leader, and he has spun.
I can't find him now in the paddock.
Obviously, we all better, but
Max didn't really have the PR training or the social grace of someone like Lewis Hamilton. He didn't have the underlying flair and charm of someone like Ayrton Senna. He wasn't even a rebel, really, like Fernando Alonso was. He was just fast and really furious. Everyone saw him as maybe. In 2021, though, everything changed. Red Bull finally gave him a car that was able to fight for a championship with Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton. Max knew if he had to win this fight, he had to get dirty, become nasty. Everything goes, every rule in the book, every kind of fight, especially in Silverstone.
He's going to try again, this time on the inside, a continent touch! Verstappen is out of the race!
And while people tend to sort of overlook the shit that Lewis Hamilton pulled, people really began to see the nasty, monstrous side of Max Verstappen.
Hamilton and Verstappen, and this time Verstappen and Hamilton have crashed out, and they are both out!
And controversies kept rolling in like in Saudi.
Oh, they've touched, and they've collided! Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, how much damage?
And all of that would have been fine, and all of that would have been forgiven if it wasn't for one of the most infamous days in Formula One, or honestly, in sporting history, here in Abu Dhabi 2021.
No, Nicholas Latifi has crashed, and I think that is at turn 14. Race control are now saying lapped cars to overtake the safety car.
Max's crowning moment also just happened to be the most controversial decision of all time. Now, I can get into the specifics and technical details as to what happened and how it really wasn't quite right, but with one move, Max Verstappen had pissed off one of the biggest fan bases in Formula One. All those people who still call Lewis Hamilton an 8-time champion. Yeah, I'm talking about them. And since that day, Max was public enemy number one. He was the guy that everyone hated. And it didn't help that the next year, he was fighting for the title against the guy that, of all people, was even more loved than Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, and crushed their dreams again.
Stay out, stay out, stay out.
People get tired of Max crushing their favorites. And oh boy, were they going to get tired the next year. But don't jump to conclusions because
Sergio Perez wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix!
after the fourth race, there were just 6 points between Checo and Max. And right at that moment, something happened that people rarely talk about.
I saw Max's dad, Jos Verstappen, in Qatar. Max had clinched the championship, and we were chatting about the season. Then he said to me, he says, Max was furious after Baku. And when he came home, he said to us, or later that evening, he said to his dad, I am not going to get beaten by him ever again this season. He was absolutely livid and said he will not beat me again.
From that point on, Verstappen turned into a monster. He lost only one race. The rest was pure domination and control. And as you might expect,
fuck you, Max! Fuck you, Max! Fuck you, Max!
with every race, the tension kept rising.
The governor of Texas presents the trophy to Max Verstappen.
Max's greatness began to overshadow everyone around him. And you know what that reminds me of? In the 2013 season, when Vettel also killed the Formula One season. Back then, everyone hated him because we all want competitive F1. We can't stand the predictability that these drivers have created. Although, what was Max supposed to do? But I don't think he cared.
I think it's normal when you are winning and they don't like who is winning. So is this something for me which is absolutely fine as long as I stand on the top. That's for me the most important. I take the trophy home and they go back to their houses and they can have a nice evening.
So when Verstappen won the championship with 16 races to go, he was hated. Hated by his humiliated teammate who lost by 290 points, hated by fans, other drivers, and in the end, Max became the most hated driver in Formula One. When 2024 began, it felt like nothing had changed. Red Bull looked strongest in testing. and some team bosses claimed that Max was winning because they had the best car. But the middle part of 2024 is still, in my experience in recent history, one of the most exciting periods in Formula One.
The wheel over the curve, Verstappen's got the outside line. That works really well for Max Verstappen. He gets in front of the McLaren.
For 10 straight races, Verstappen didn't win, and the winners of every race were almost never the same. It seemed that Norris and McLaren finally had a chance to win, but it was also clear that Lando's bottle wasn't fully ready yet. Verstappen, meanwhile, pushed the limits, sometimes too far.
Side Max Verstappen barges Verstappen, throwing it to the inside. They're both off. Extraordinary.
Those moments caused a reaction, and the British media were on fire. But everything changed on the Brazilian Grand Prix. Starting from 17th and needing this race to cement his title charge, Max Verstappen drove one of the most beautiful races of all time.
I have a quick question here. I mean, I appreciate all of you being here, but I don't see any British press. They had to run to the airport, or they don't know where the press conference is.
And at this point, it didn't matter who you were. A McLaren fan, a Ferrari fan, a Mercedes fan, everyone that day was a Max Verstappen fan. And I honestly think that was the turning point. That was where people started to see, like, and just appreciate greatness.
And like you said, you know, before I could only win it in the fastest car.
Exactly.
This year has been a little bit different.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
And honestly, at this time, people began to change their opinion on him too. You see that blunt, dry, sarcastic attitude that people thought was just Max being rude and being an asshole? People loved it now. The craziest honest thing about Verstappen is that he's absolutely hilarious, even when he's not trying to be.
Personally, would like to wish you all happy holidays.
In an entire paddock filled with increasingly PR-trained good boys, Verstappen doesn't give a single fuck. And also, I think a part of it is that Verstappen has matured a bit, and he deals better with fans.
Max, you don't deserve the hate. You're actually a good driver and a good person.
Max Verstappen, best racing driver on the grids, without doubt. In line with Senna, in line with Schumacher.
Max is really nice off the track.
He deals better with other drivers, and he's actually nice to the rookies. But the real turning point came after the race in Zandvoort. His car, that Red Bull, was a tractor, which was unbelievable for everyone who saw how dominant that car was. And maybe we should have believed that it wouldn't stay like that forever, because out of nowhere, all of a sudden, Max, by one race at a time, started to catch up to McLaren. And boy oh boy, we were in for the thrill of our lives. From being 100 points down all the way to the final race, Max Verstappen gave one of the best title chases of all time. And listen, I'm a Lando Norris fan, but by the end of the season, I found myself rooting for Max, because McLaren, with their papaya rules and internal drama, turned the championship into chaos. Once again, it sucked the competitiveness out of the fight. So suddenly, one of the most dominant champions of all time, the guy many people called boring, was living out a crazy underdog story. Although he didn't win the title, Max earned the respect of absolutely everyone. And here he is now, a well-respected, well-loved champion. And even if he has another dominant season, people are still going to love Max and root for him to win. And you know, I saw something unique, what every champion has gone through. A cycle, something we've seen with Schumacher, with Sebastian Vettel, and to some degree, Lewis Hamilton. The formula is actually really simple. The hype. When these young, exciting prospects come in, everyone waits with anticipation. They start beating the established names and people love it. Remember how everyone rejoiced when Alonso beat Schumacher? Or Max's first victory?
Wins the Spanish Grand Prix and is the youngest driver ever!
At this stage, fans love chaos and are willing to forgive a lot. Then, dominance. And this is where everything flips. When Schumacher kept winning, people got tired of the Emperor. When Vettel destroyed 2013, people booed him. When Hamilton's Mercedes era went on forever, fans turned on him. When Max steamrolled 2022 to 2023, the same thing happened. Dominance always becomes boring for everyone who isn't supporting that driver. Then, resentment. This is the proper hate phase. Schumacher was called a cheater, Vettel was mocked for the finger celebration, Alonso was toxic, Hamilton was ruining F1, Max was dangerous, cocky, boring, all at the same time. The hate's never about personality, it's about winning too much. And finally, respect. Once the dominance fades or once a real fight returns, fans suddenly remember how good these guys actually are. Schumacher became a legend, Alonso became loved again, Vettel became universally adored, Hamilton is at that stage right now, and Max, after the 2024 fight and the 2025 comeback, has entered that same phase. So when you start hating someone, remember this cycle. You can change your mind, am I right?